Hey, what's up, guys? I had to put up a review today for a movie I've been hyped for ever since I heard about it, say in January or whenever I had initially heard about it. And that's the highly anticipated sequel to Tales from the Hood 20 years later. Um, this release came out of nowhere as far as the announcement went, and I've been looking forward to it ever since I heard that because I have a review on my channel and Body Bags, I'm pretty sure, for the first Tales from the Hood. Love that movie, one of my top anthology films of all time, guaranteed. Um, so needless to say, I was pretty hyped for this, and you know, I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed with it just because I had super high expectations for it, given the first one was so good, and the fact that the director of the first one directed this and wrote it. And then there's another guy, Darren Scott, who wrote and directed two of the shorts also, because there's four stories. And, honestly, the director of the first one, his two stories are the better of the four when compared to Darren Scott's two stories. But this guy on the front, I don't know what he's from. I've seen him before, but he plays the new Mr. Sims or Tim's or whatever his name was. Mr. Sims, I think it is. And he's invited to this, conglomerate dude. He's building these robots to replace police, and Mr. Sims has got to tell stories to this guy and his robots to kind of see who he's going to arrest and who he's not going to arrest. And the first story is really cool. It's this girl. She is visiting this racist museum of these old blackface type stuff, old racist knickknacks and stuff like that. It's like a little museum. And she wants this little doll thing, and it's not the doll from the first one. It's called like a gollywog or something like that, and it's like some little racist-looking voodoo doll type thing. And that's where you get the cameo from the doll in the first movie. There is not a story in this movie dedicated to that doll from the first one, unfortunately, because they do show that doll in the trailer, and a lot of people thought there was going to be another story with that doll. And this is a doll story though, but it's with that Gollywog character, and it's not as nearly as good as the first story with from the first movie with the doll. It gets really goofy, ridiculous. At the ending, it's really silly, but really disturbing too. Like the last scene, it's one of those things. Like it's so over the top, it's goofy, but if you think about it, it is really disturbing. I don't want to give anything away with the ending, but yeah, it was kind of chilling, the ending, given how stupid it was, but it was chilling. And the second one, these gangsters, they're beating the crap out of this dude who they want to know where the money's at, like $5 million or something, and they accidentally end up killing him. So they go to this psychic they see on TV, and I don't want to give anything away actually, but they go to the psychic and they're trying to talk to the dead gangster to find out where the money is at. That's all I'll say about it. It was a pretty decent story. It fit more in with the first movie, and believe it or not, that one was actually directed by Darren Scott. I thought the acting was okay. That's one of the main downfalls of this whole movie is the acting is a little just too goofy. Like the first one was really serious. It had some goofy elements, but it was mainly serious. Or this one, the comedy is more amped up in this. And then the third story, these two dudes, they end up finding these two girls on Tinder or whatever that want to fuck or whatever. So they end up going to meet them, and of course, the two girls aren't what they portraying to be on Tinder. So it's like Predator versus Predator type thing. You'll see when you see it what I'm talking about, and it's really not original at all. It was the weakest of all the stories, my opinion. I disliked it the most. That one was directed by Darren Scott, and then the last story is I had literally already forgot the. Oh yeah. The last story actually fits more in with the first Tales from the Hood than any of the stories. This guy, he's like a campaign manager for this dude running for mayor who's racist and all that, and the mom hates who he's running for and all that. And at the end, he ends up meeting Emmett Till and all these things, and it had like an eerie kind of vibe to it or whatever. It was the darkest of all of them, and it fit in more well with the message, the vibe, the cinematography, and everything, the writing. That would have fit in the first Tales from the Hood more than any of these stories. If they would have kept all four of the stories in the same serious tone as they did this last and fourth story, this would have been a really good movie. You know, so those are the stories. As far as the wraparound, it's ridiculous, goofy, a lot of CGI, but it's okay. It's okay. I mean, this dude doesn't do as good a job as Clarence Williams III from the first one. Um, you know, he says the main catch lines. He does an okay job at it. Just the whole idea of him talking to artificial intelligence and these robot cops is just goofy. But, you know, it's a fun movie. As far as the scariness of this goes, there was really nothing scary. I mean, just the first story with the ending was just more disturbing, and the fourth story had like an eerie kind of vibe, but it doesn't touch the first Tales from the Hood as far as like scares go. This, like I said, this is more of like a horror comedy for sure, and it's just the HD cameras and the digital cameras just don't fit the movie as well as film did back in the 90s for the first one. Unfortunately, there's zero special features, not even a trailer or anything. I would have liked a commentary or something, or like some kind of short special feature on how this came to be made and all that, and why they decided 20 years later to do it, and why it would have been so underwhelming after being made 20 years later. But it's an enjoyable watch. I mean, it's one of those things. If this was just called Tales from the Ghetto or something, I don't know, like a Tales from the Hood knockoff, and it didn't have the Tales from the Hood name, and it didn't have that first one to live up to, this would have been a pretty enjoyable movie. But the fact that this is a follow-up to one of my top 3 horror anthologies of all time, it's just disappointing. There's no other way to put it. It pains me to say that, but it is an enjoyable movie. If you do see this for like 12 or 14 bucks at Walmart when this does release, because I think it comes out October 2nd. I got this from Grindhouse Video, but if you see it in Walmart, definitely pick it up and support it, just because it is an enjoyable film. You may like it a lot more than I do, especially if you've never seen Tales from the Hood 1, or if you just think Tales from the Hood 1 is okay, you may have more fun with this, because like I said, it's more comedy. And one last thing I got to give this movie props for is the opening thing. They don't use like any hardcore rap like the first one did. Like the first one just kind of zooming in on the skeleton and the opening credits with like some Spice One or some 90s gangster song playing. This one, it's more trippy, and it almost felt more eerie, like the way it was played out, the very intro theme song. So I do give them props on the opening credits. I really dug how they did that. And it would be cool if they made a Tales from the Hood 3. I would still pick it up because I'm a diehard fan. It's one of those things, I'm going to watch this again and do a commentary on it with BDG reviews. I am excited to watch it again. I feel like a rewatch, now that I know what to expect, I may like this a lot better. So, you know, it is what it is with that. Look forward to the commentary for this. It'll be fun. We're doing a commentary tonight for Tales from the Hood 1. Which I'm really excited to watch again. But yeah, you know, talking it out, I liked it more than I'm portraying it in this review. But like I said, it had to live up to my expectations of the first one, and it was just impossible for it to do that. I mean, given the cover art alone, you could know that it's not on the same quality as part 1, but I don't want to ramble on forever. I definitely give it a recommendation. I say pick it up. It's a fun movie. Unfortunately, they screwed us on special features, but the transfer looked good, and it's just an overall fun movie, and it's definitely worthy of the support. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. See, peace.